Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's one, I'm going to be going over the Destiny 2 dev update for the rewards. This was an article released on December 8th, 2020 by a guy named Joe Blackburn, who's an assistant game director on Destiny 2. So I read the whole article and I read all the bullet points, and there's a lot of good things coming to the game, and I wanted to make a video about it because I wanted to share it with you guys and kind of throw my 2 cents in on it and let you guys know how I feel about it and some of my concerns still with this moving forward. So there's 2 things that I want to get out of the way. The first one and the biggest one is definitely, after reading this article as a hardcore player, I'm definitely at ease a little bit more than I was before. This article kind of gave me hope and has kind of reassured me that there's good things coming to the game. And now I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people are like, I wanted Beyond Light to be it, and it wasn't. And I get you. I'm there with you. Like, I wanted Beyond Light to be a lot more than it was as well. You know, we could go down that rabbit hole, but I'm not going to do that here. But after reading this article, you know, I have some more reassurance that, you know, the game is going to get better in time, and that, you know, there's good things on the way, basically, to sum it up. There's good things on the way, and I recommend if you're a hardcore, you stick around to hear this video out, because I'm going to be going through the whole article and giving my 2 cents on it. And yeah, so there's good things coming. And then the second thing is that I just wanted to state, like I just said, I'm a hardcore player. I had very high expectations of Beyond Light, and it unfortunately under-delivered. There was a lot of unacceptable things with Beyond Light that I thought they let through without care. And you know, just to point it out that you know, like the core playlist activities only getting one loot item, no vendor refresh, and they all have an identical armor set, literally just a different shader on them. I found that like totally unacceptable. It's just stuff like that that I did not care for. So yeah, I had very high expectations of Beyond Light. It didn't deliver, but after reading this article, I think that the game moving forward in the near and distant future, because there's things coming soon and later on in this article that I'm going to go over, I think the game will obviously maintain a healthy player base. I think no matter what, there are diehards with this video game, people who will literally never leave this. And yeah, but for the hardcore community, the people who really love the game as well, I think there's going to be a lot of cool things to go over in this article with you guys. So let's go ahead and get into this. So right at the beginning of the article, he starts off by saying, while we still are hard at work on improvements of how we rotate gear out of the Destiny 2 power ecosystem, there were a few clear-cut misses with the first rollout. And he bullet points, the initial reward pool with this release was just too small. And without a doubt, he is 100% right about that. I think it was like 20... It was in the ballpark of like 25 weapons we got total, including the raid. And you guys gotta remember that I think it's only like 6 to 8% of the people in the actual community do the raid. You know, obviously with like recodes and stuff like that, it might be a little bit more than that. But for the most part, it's like 6 to 8% of the actual player base actually does raids. So take away the raids and you take away like 7 or 6 or 7 or maybe 8 weapons. So for the rest of the community, you guys got like right around like 20 weapons, 18 to 20 weapons. You know, so I'm glad to see that he starts off by saying right up front, hey, the reward loot pool was just way too small. And then he says, it's frustrating to being a Destiny player and see another player use a weapon that is no longer obtainable in the game. And the gun that comes to my mind is Fellwinter's, without a doubt. It was like an event that you had to be there, you had to do it. And once the event was gone, you could no longer earn the weapon. It didn't come back in Iron Banner, even though it is an Iron Banner weapon. I'm just using Fellwinter's as an example. And I do think that it is a good thing that they're reducing FOMO. You know, a lot of people don't like it. It doesn't settle well with a lot of people. And, you know, they're starting to cater to people in that aspect. So for him to start off the article with these 2 big bullet points is really good for me to see this. I really do like how they got right to the point, and I'm happy to see that. Moving on, they state, with each season in year 4, Destiny 2 will grow the overall power ecosystem for weapons. So that's good, because that means that we're going to actually get more weapons in each season, which ultimately is going to hit our sunsetting again a year later harder, just like it did this time. Obviously this time was going to be the absolute worst because just so many weapons got sunset, but you know, they are going to be incorporating more weapons into the seasons moving forward. And he says, with very few exceptions, all weapons can take to the power cap should be earnable in game, and then future annual releases will contain more new weapons to collect than Beyond Light or Shadowkeep. That is very good to hear, because Beyond Light, like I said, you know, not a lot of weapons to earn this season really at all, and then Shadowkeep had some weapon. I think Shadowkeep had a few more weapons to earn, but Shadowkeep was pretty light as well. And then obviously the moon was just kind of recycled content. You know, a lot of people from D1 had already been on the moon, so to a lot of people, Shadowkeep, you know, wasn't a good DLC. For me personally, I didn't play a lot of D1, so Shadowkeep was actually amazing for me. But you know, I could see how that could not be an amazing DLC for a lot of people, especially the D1 vets. But you know, more loot coming moving forward, and you know, all great bullet points here. I'm happy to see this as well. So moving on to kind of the meat and potatoes of the article, they state that in Season 13, they're adding 6 new legendary weapons to their ritual activities, 2 each for Strikes, Gambit, and Crucible. I'm really happy to see that. That's currently double what we have right now. All we have right now is the Shotgun and Strikes, the Pulse Rifle and Crucible, and the Heavy GL in Gambit. So, you know, double the rewards in the core playlist activities is absolutely awesome to see that. You know, to a lot of people 2 still isn't going to be enough, and for me personally it's still a little shallow, but you know, it's double what we got right now, so I'm not going to complain. They're going in the right direction with that. And then also, in addition to the new weapons, Nightfall Strikes are getting 3 unique weapons, with the Palindrome, the Swarm, and the Shadow Price all making their Destiny 2 debut. I think that's also awesome. Nightfall specific loot was like absolutely craved by the Destiny 2 community. They loved it. I don't know why Bungie did away with it for a while, but they're bringing that back, so I'm really happy that, you know, they're bringing Nightfall specific loot back. And then also, if you're brave enough to take on the Grandmaster Nightfalls, you'll be able to earn the Adept versions of these weapons. That's also awesome, because literally the only reason people ran Grandmaster Nightfalls, at least 90% of them ran it, was literally for the Conqueror title, for Triumphs. That's literally all they ran it for. A very small portion of people ran it for the loot, or just to help other people who wanted the Triumphs. Most people just literally ran it for the Triumphs. So to see another reason for people to actually go in Grandmasters is a really good thing. I still think Grandmasters need work. I don't think that they're like a good piece of content. You know, a laundry list of activities was just like a super high light requirement. I don't really think that's a recipe for a good piece of content, but that's a story for another day. I'm happy to see we're getting double the loot in all the core playlist activities. We're getting Nightfall specific loot back, and we're getting Adept versions to chase in Grandmasters. All these are really good changes. I'm happy to see this moving forward. So the next paragraph in the article is actually really important, and then I'm just going to give my comments afterward. So in a recent patch, we added the Season 10 and 11 weapons to the world drop pool and removed the Season 9 weapons. This was important for a few reasons. We want to make sure that the players have a way to earn all power relevant weaponry in the live game. If a group of new Guardians is just getting into Grandmaster Nightfalls and they see a guide on YouTube involving Warmind cells, we need to provide them a clear path to participate. At the same time, we don't want to be clogging up the reward streams with weapons that are about to exit the power ecosystem. So anything that's only going to be around for a few months shouldn't be something a player can accidentally obtain. I really like how they're actually doing that. So technically, Season 9 weapons are not sunset. Season 9 weapons are still viable in the current meta. Moving forward, they will be getting sunset, but you cannot earn them right now because in 3 months, or technically now 2 months at the making of this video, the season will be over, and then everything will get sunset from that season. So it's actually a really good system. It's like a protection system to make sure that you can't get loot that will be garbage in a short time. I really do agree with that. And they also gave a Warmind cell build as an example, and I do actually want to get into that for a second. That's also really good because they're gonna have to figure out a way moving forward to actually deal with something like Warmind cell specifically, because if you think about it, or for anybody who doesn't know, let's start off with this. The only way you can spawn Warmind cells is with 7th Seraph or Icarus weapons. Those weapons are not immune to getting sunset. So what happens when those weapons get sunset? Well, all the mods that go along with them and their whole utility just goes away because they are no longer the light requirement in endgame content. So Bungie's gonna have to kind of figure out something to do with that in that aspect, because eventually when all the Icolos and 7 Seraph weapons get sunset, all the mods for the Warmind cells are gonna be irrelevant, and you know, they're gonna have to do something there with that. I'm not sure, but this protection system of not being able to earn a weapon that is going to be getting sunset very soon, I do agree with this. I like this a lot. This is a good change, and I'm actually happy that they're putting this kind of protection system into the loot drops, especially for new light players. So in the very next paragraph, he actually gives an example of the loot protection system he's talking about in detail. So he says, in Season 13, we will continue to allow all players to gain Season 11 and 12 weapons in the world drop pool, while Season 10 weapons will be obtainable through a more prescriptive source. This means that legendary engrams will no longer award these soon-to-expire weapons. If you want to chase a specific piece of soon-to-be-capped loot, you'll find it with the gunsmith. I think this is a good change. So basically this means that if you're out in the open world and an engram drops from a mob or via post-game activity, whatever you're doing, you know for 100% that that engram is going to drop a piece of loot that is going to be moving forward and is not going to be getting sunset at the end of that season it dropped in. I think that's a good change. So, you know, if you're out in the patrol zone and a drag drops an engram, you know that that weapon is not getting sunset the very next season. You know, some people might get an engram at the very beginning of a season, and yes, that engram is going to drop a piece of loot that's going to be good for the next 3 months. But if you get that engram at the very last week of that season, that weapon is literally going to get sunset in a week. So, you know, they protected you from having basically this loot that's just going to be irrelevant in a very short amount of time. I think that's a good change. He also states, as far as exceptions, we don't plan on adding methods for players to acquire a holiday weapon like the Braytech Werewolf outside of participating in those yearly events. I actually think that's good. So basically, for the people who actually play the game, you're actually going to be able to kind of boast about a weapon that you got because you actually played the game. I think that if you're one of those people who just doesn't play the game, and you know, one of these unique like 3-week long celebrations comes around for the holidays and you're not there to earn it, I don't think you deserve it. That's just like my opinion on it. It goes against FOMO, but I think for the people who actually play the game, I think they actually deserve to say, hey, I played this activity and I got X thing from it, and you know, I think that you deserve that. You know, if you're one of those people who plays only during the big expansion for like a month and then puts the game down for the whole rest of the year and then comes back to the next big expansion, then you're like, hey, what's that Braytech Werewolf weapon? You know, how do I get that? You know, people are gonna be like, hey, you're shit out of luck, man. You can only get this from the Halloween event and that's already gone, so there's no other way to get it. I think that's fair. The people who actually play the game were there to earn the weapon, and yeah, that's case closed. And then they also state, for updates, this does mean in Season 13, we will be adding a limited time quest like the Fellwinter's Lie, Whisper of the Worm, and Outbreak Perfected to the exotic kiosk in the tower. I think this is actually a good change. As far as Fellwinter's Lie, I think they should have literally brought that back through Iron Banner, which is currently going on right now. But hey, you know, whatever. They're bringing it back through the kiosk, so that's at least good. We still have to wait a while, but it's whatever. But these are all good. Whisper of the Worm and Outbreak Perfected were only obtainable through the 2 dungeons, which are now in the content vault, so you actually can't earn these weapons at all. Those 2 weapons, especially Whisper, are notoriously known for really strong DPS output in endgame activities. You know, it sucks that new light players can't earn them right now, but in the near future, they are bringing these 3 god tier weapons back to the exotic kiosk in the tower, so all new light players or people who just didn't get them throughout playing, even if you have been around for a while, you know how it means to actually get these weapons. I think that's actually a solid move on their behalf, and I'm happy to see that. So moving on, he kind of reiterates throughout the next bit of the article what he mentioned at the beginning of it, and how that, you know, he knows that the team just did not deliver enough loot in Beyond Light, and how the community was just not really that stoked about what they really received in the expansion, you know, basically meaning the lack of loot. You know, he reiterates that, you know, he understands that the community was not happy with the amount of loot they received in Beyond Light, and but he is happy about the new perks they introduced, like Thresh, Chain Reaction, Reconstruction, and Recombination on some of the new weapons, whether it be like some of the weapons through Varix and the Raid, stuff like that. I think these perks are really cool. They have their utility, they have their purposes, but in my opinion, they're really hard to compete with some of the old weapons that haven't gotten sunset yet, because some of the old weapons have rampage and kill clip, whereas like 90% of the weapons that got introduced in Beyond Light do not have rampage and kill clip. They have perks that kind of cater more towards stability, handling, range, stuff like that. And you know, it's really hard for these weapons with these perks to compete with a perk that literally just does like 30% flat damage by just getting a kill and reloading. Like, it's really hard to compete with that. So they're trying to kind of get us off of the old weapons and onto the new weapons. It's going to take a while though for that to kind of, for you to really appreciate how these weapons really are. And you know, you're just going to kind of have to wait till basically all the stuff we have right now gets sunset. But you know, I'm glad he sees that the perks that they introduce are good, but I'm more importantly glad that he sees that, you know, like, you know, the community did not go over the amount of loot we got very well. And then this last paragraph is actually really important, and I'm just going to read this off. I think this whole paragraph is really important. So he says, there's no way for us to make more rewards at Destiny's standards and will maintain the health of our current team. Therefore, we're going to reinforce the rewards team with more talent that will allow us to deliver quality and quantity in the future. I think this is really good. Basically, he's bringing in more assets to the team. I think that's great. He says, molding someone new into the Master Destiny Gunsmith takes time. This isn't going to be something that the community feels next week. It's going to be something that we feel in the steps moving forward with the Witch Queen and Lightfall. So again, like, I'm happy they're bringing more people in for the loot team because they really needed that, and I'm happy to see that is a thing moving forward. But like I said, we're not going to see this for a little bit. So, you know, I'm happy they acknowledge it. I'm happy they're doing something about it. And like, this kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video. A lot of people really don't want to hear, oh, just wait a while, you know, the game will get better, the game will get better. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but you know, what can we really do at this point? You know, all we can do is read the TWABs and read these articles that the devs post and take it from there. So I'm happy to see they acknowledge it, they're doing something about it, and that's really all we can ask for. So I'm happy to see this. So now getting into the end of the article, he touches up on armor, and then there's a few bullet points I want to read off to you guys. But he says for the armor, we envision a better solution for how armor intersects with infusion caps. The personality of armor comes from mods right now, so gaining a new piece of armor often means just trying to find a piece of armor that replicates the stat allocation you already have on that piece in your vault. So, in my opinion, I don't really agree with the sunsetting of armor. There really is no justification for it. There's nothing that really states, hey, like, this piece of armor is OP, like, we need to sunset it. With the weapons, I do agree with that, but as far as the armor goes, I don't agree with it. Literally, all it serves is, like, your core 6 attributes, and then your mods, and that's literally it. And you can run the mods on literally any piece of gear now, except for obviously seasonal mods. In my opinion though, armor getting sunset really doesn't have a place in this game. I don't think it does, at least not right now. And then they go ahead and state that they're really just not ready to talk about it, and that when they're ready, they'll mention what they're going to be doing with it moving forward in the future. But yeah, like, I don't really agree with the armor sunsetting thing, but you know, they're still not 100% sure what they're going to do, and they're going to let us know when they do know what they're going to be doing with that. And then here at the very end of the article, there's what is it, 6 bullet points here that I want to go over. So he says transmog will be coming with season 14, more details to come, so that's good. DDoS protection for Destiny 2 players on all consoles will be coming in season 13. This is really nice. I know a lot of people, especially on Xbox mainly, where the DDoSing was out of control. Even some big streamers were having problems with this. Happy to see the DDoS protection. And by the way, I saw some other content creators make some videos on both next gen consoles, and man, Destiny 2 looks phenomenal. Like, I actually might consider getting one of these consoles and going over there and playing the game. It looks absolutely great. But the DDoS protection is absolutely amazing. Happy to see that for them finally. The Vault of Glass raid returns. They're still not 100% sure. We don't have a date. There probably won't be a world's first on this raid because it came out 6 years ago. But you know, we have a new raid to look for, or not a new raid, but well, a new raid to this game, but not a new raid to the franchise to look forward to. Crossplay is coming in 2021. We're getting 2 strikes, the Fallen Saber and the Devil's Lair in Season 13. You know, they're reiterations from Destiny 1, but it's new content to this game. I can't complain. At least they're bringing something in. I would have liked to probably seen more strikes on Europa, but, you know, hey, whatever. At least they're bringing new content into the game. And then Legendary and Master Lost Sector rotation will be expanded to include the Lost Sectors on the Moon in the Season 13. And there will be 3 new pieces of exotic armor to chase. And that is literally the article. Yeah, so my thoughts on all those last bullet points, I'm happy to see it. I'm not crazy about bringing back Destiny 1 content in such regard, like the raid, the strikes. You know, there's a lot of stuff coming back. We just got the Hawk mood. I would like to see new stuff more often, but at least there are things that are coming back that we haven't been experiencing in 3 to 4 years. The raid being like 6 years now. So, you know, I'd like to see less old content coming forward and more new content, like fresh new content that we haven't experienced yet in the franchise. But at least they're making solid efforts with the loot and to reintroduce stuff into the game, at least until they have it all figured out. And then we'll probably start to see some of that with the Witch Queen and the expansion after that. But that is going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, please do drop a like on it and a comment below, letting me know what you guys think about some of these updates. And consider subscribing to the channel to keep up with Destiny 2 content like this, and also guide videos. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Down, Perix. It's over. That's all of them. All of Aramis's lieutenants. Her entire council.
The reign of the Kill of Darkness is ended. Thanks to the Guardian. But in death, Aramis becomes myth. Immortal. Her legacy will go on. New champions will rise in her name. We must stay